not fair in Love and War in the show's craziest plot twist yet. Please welcome Tony Goldwyn.
Almost made my bake fall. Face. Sorry.
So earlier we were talking about ladies.
Gotcha.
You guys want to hear what he has to say? Earlier we were talking about Christina Aguilera and these amazing impersonations she did of Cher and Britney Spears. So
she was good.
She was good.
Yeah.
Has anyone tried to impersonate you?
Yes. I heard that there was a guy who I wasn't even really friends with, but who I went to high school with. And I heard that he was going around to like bars and trying to pick up girls saying he was me. And saying, yeah, I'm Tony Goldwyn, I work in the movies, and, you know. Yeah, he looked like in color. Not at all. Nothing like me. But apparently he scored, so I'm
Honoring who you have.
yeah.
So, Tony, you took your daughter, who is 24 years of age,
That's
Anna,
right.
and you took her to an Oscar event.
I did, yeah. She's it's really fun having grown kids because I have like someone to hang out with, and she, you know, she gets kick out of it, and she's a young writer, and so she gets to meet a lot of people that she'll be eventually working with, and we have fun together. So,
So sweet.
the only problem is I have to make it really clear that she's my daughter. Because we are in Hollywood, after all. And
So
I
cute.
used to, you know, when she sort of became 18 and like a woman and a beautiful woman, we go into a store and people would say, oh, how long have you been married?
Oh, God.
Like, he's my dad. And it was mortifying. And so now I'm really good at going, this is my daughter, Anna. When I introduce her.
Okay, so you were married for 28 years to your wife, Jane. When you were you got married when you were 21?
No, we met when I was 21.
You met when you were 21, got married? Okay. So was it love at first sight?
Well, yeah, I mean, the way this worked out, we met, it was my very first job. I was still in college, and it was working at a fabulous theater called the Williamstown Theater Festival, which is like a big summer theater festival on the East Coast. And she's a production designer. She's designed sets for movies, and at that time for the theater. And so she was a young designer, and the man who became my best friend in the world had a big crush on her, and he said, "You got to meet this girl, Jane." You know, we were both young actors, and I said, "Okay." And he said, "She's a real athlete," and he said, I went running with her. She gets up at 5 in the morning to go running, and I went with her, but I didn't have any running shoes, so I went barefoot. And my feet are bleeding. He's like a New York kid. He's like from Queens. And he said, you know, and he said to her, yeah, we go running in barefoot in Queens. And so I said, well, take some running shoes. I gave him some running shoes that were 2 sizes too big for him. And he said, well, you come with us. So we went running one day up in the country, and Jane takes us up to this pond, and she strips off her clothes and dives in the pond naked. And I was like,
hey,
I'm
Jane.
done with that. And my friend Tony, is also named Tony, was like, I'm from New York City. I'm from there. There's cement. They're like live animals in that pond. I'm not going in. So I was like, well, dude, you kind of lose. So shortly thereafter, I got the girl. Yeah.
Jane was pulling them.
We want to pay our respects because earlier this year, Hollywood lost a legend with the passing of your father, Samuel Goldwyn Jr.
Right.
What was he like as a dad?
Oh, he was amazing, my dad. He was the most generous, and in addition to being like really accomplished and kind of brilliant, he was just he was like a super proud, obsessively proud dad. He would in high school, it was really embarrassing that I decided I really wanted to be an actor because whenever I was in a high school play, as soon as I'd come out on stage, he would leap up and take flash pictures. In the audience, and he's 6'4", and I'd be like, "Oh God, he's doing it again!" And I couldn't, And then when I had my Broadway debut as an actor, when I first was my first play on Broadway, Laura Linney and I were doing a play together, and there's a tradition when big stars come out on Broadway, the audience applauds when they make their first entrance. Well, I wasn't really a big star; I was young, but when my father came to see the play, I make my first entrance, and he starts doing this. And the whole audience burst into applause. So they were like, "Oh, we're supposed to be applauding," So he believed. I was like, "Bob, you got to come back more often."
Much more with Tony Goldwyn when we come right back.
For Fitz, but Fitz is got there. They're going to
Come on.
Can he?
All right, guys.
My office, and you backed out every time.
Of course I did. If you gave up the presidency, what did I do all this for?
Let's hear it.
That was a thing from Scandal. And we're back with TV's Commander-in-Chief, Tony Goldwyn.
Hey.
There are hazards to falling in love with strong women.
Your presidency ain't no joke. You started an international war to save Olivia when she was kidnapped, and she's not impressed.
Right? She started to please.
Real talk, what?
She started stuff to please.
But okay, this is my question. Forget Olivia. What was Fritz? Most Fritz? What? You a macaroni? What was you thinking? You were like, you ain't down for me, and I did all this for you. What was you thinking as president?
I felt betrayed by her, really. Because it was not easy. It was a terrible decision Fitz had to make to put lives at risk, and he was, even though he justified it politically, he was doing it to save Olivia from getting her head chopped off.
That's right.
And he almost didn't do it, and he decided he was going to do it. And Melly, actually, as my wife said, you love her, you got to do the right thing. And I did this very difficult thing, and she throws it back in my face. Not only that, but in what she says there, she says, because you not living up to what you should have done ethically as president makes it all worth nothing, meaning our love was worth nothing. So for Fitz, it was like,
what?
Say what?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
That's when a woman flipping on you.
Yeah, right.
And you be like, I did all this for you, and then she flipping on you, and you be like, bitches, you crazy? I'm sorry.
I was relieved though, because I could see we do live tweeting with the fans during the broadcast, and while we were shooting all this, I was really worried for Fitz, because I thought people are going to completely turn against him and think, you went to war, soldiers died, you did this for Helen of Troy, and not appreciate how difficult it was, but it was the opposite. The fans were like, no, you go to war, is it? And she came in on Twitter when it was being broadcast. People were like, they're waiting for Fitz to show up at her apartment. They're gonna have their reunion. And when I come to the door in that scene, people were like, "Oh my God, he's there! They're gonna get back together." And when she threw it in my face, people were like, "What?" They were so upset. And on my side, which is kind of unusual.
He's reading her too.
Because in Shondaland, the guys usually get the short end of it.
Tweets, some of the Scandal fans tweet some very suggestive things at you. So can you give us an example of a
suggestive? They do. Some are too suggestive to say on television. My favorite is, or was, no vagina can be apolitical around you.
He still remembers that.
Well, I think that is the highest form of political flattery.
Divulge too much, but what else can we expect in the rest of the season?
Oh my gosh. Well, now you know Olivia's home. Yeah. And Olivia's safe.
Happy. Not very grateful.
We will. Look, I can't tell you anything. going to say, the obvious, which is that it's brutal for Fitz because we're leaving them after that episode in a really rough place. And again, you'll be surprised by where Shonda goes. She pushes things right to the edge and then flips it around on you, and I can't tell you any more than that. Sorry.
Goldwyn, everyone. Scandal returns next Thursday night, March 5th at 9 o'clock on ABC.
Bye, bae.
Up next,
Ooh.
phrase.